Board Member McWatters, I want to thank you for taking time to speak with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There was a lot on the agenda for this meeting, but the most important thing that was debated the most was the 2015 operating budget. You voted against the 2015 operating budget. Why did you decide to cast your vote no?
Well, I was dismayed by a number of factors. One was the overall increase in the budget, another 4.1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever percent it is. It seemed to change on a daily basis. The second was a general lack of transparency in the budget, although I will admit much improvement has been made. And third was we ought to involve the credit union community. We need to hear their comments. We need to hear what they have to say about the budget. I think it's very important.
You called for budget hearings for the future at the meeting. Why do you think there should be hearings on the budget?
Well, we are using other people's money, and it seems fair, it seems reasonable for people to look at the budget and come and present their thoughts on the budget to us in an open meeting. Now, trade associations meet with members of the board all the time, so we can have meetings behind closed doors, and they will bring up the budget. They can write us letters, and we respond to those letters. I believe the chair received one recently from Dan Berger over at NAFQ, and she sent a response back. So what is exactly this idea of regulatory capture? It seems to me that if you can have a public meeting where everything is on the record, everyone can see it, total, complete transparency, how in the world can that be something approaching regulatory capture when someone meeting in your office having the same comments, the same concerns is not regulatory capture? Plus, I believe the chair was a bit over-generous in her determination of what regulatory capture is. What's going on now with respect to Goldman Sachs and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, a woman who worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, in effect recording conversations she had with other members of the bank concerning Goldman Sachs and other too-big-to-fail financial institutions, is a wholly different level than the type of transparency I'm talking about. The people who write the checks ought to be able to walk into the boardroom and tell us what we think. When you look at our budget, 73% of it is employment costs. Those employment costs are principally examination. So if the people who are examined can come and they can speak to us and they can say, here's a way to improve the efficiency of the examination, of your supervisory role, that will trickle through the budget, and the budget may go down or at least not go up by as much.
So your idea is if these meetings are going on anyway with the trades and the agency, why not have them in a public setting, in other words, and also have industry representatives as well from other credit unions be able to speak about the budget before it's approved?
Absolutely. Plus, I want to hear from the credit unions themselves. I mean, I've been doing some meetings with credit union members and with people who run credit unions. It's amazing what you can learn. I mean, my job here at NCUA is to listen to NCUA staff, but it's also to reach out to the credit union community, those who run credit unions, members of credit unions, and yes, also the trade associations, get their perspective and then make an independent determination as to what's appropriate, and that's what I did today.
The chairman also said she would not support letting the public or to the industry see the budget proposal before it's presented at the meeting and approved. That is something you also called for. Why do you think that would be important and should be done at the agency?
Well, perhaps if the public saw it ahead of time, then I would be able to see it ahead of time also. Because you must understand that the board action memorandum make their way to my office very, very late in the process. That I'm working on information that to me may just be a few days old. So there is less time to react to it. I would also like more time to react to the meeting. Now, I need to be careful in saying that. I've had several meetings with Mary Ann and with Rendell, the outgoing CFO and the new CFO. They have been tremendous. I've made any number of comments regarding transparency. The budget, the BAM, if you go back and compare the last several years, has been pretty much a static document except for changes in the numbers. But I raised so many issues on transparency. The BAM is much longer now. The website is being reconfigured. A lot more links are being put in, because when I started this process, I went and I looked at the website. I looked at all the links. I printed the stuff out, and I thought, this doesn't tell me much. There's a lot more there's a greater story that needs to be told. So that movement has been made, and I appreciate the chair supporting that, the vice chair supporting it, and the CFO supporting it. But I've rattled that cage for a long time. Plus, Nick, I've been a CPA for 35 years. You know, I know something about budgets. I know something about the budgetary process. I'm an M&A deal lawyer. I've looked at financial statements since, I don't know, early 1980s. I've been through the S&L crisis, the dot-com crisis, the LBO crisis, and the like. This is not, as we'd say in Texas, my first rodeo.